So I was looking through YouTube the other day when out of nowhere came this beautiful thumbnail of a pumpkin head. Something that I did not know I needed so badly in my life. An inspiration. But once I saw it, I could not stop thinking about it. So come along with me. I am trying to make my own paper mache pumpkin head. To create this pumpkin head, I decided instead of buying glue, I was going to make my own glue wheat paste mixture. It's very cheap. You can usually have some flour around the house. I used equal parts whole wheat flour just because I had whole wheat flour, but you can use regular flour or white flour. So equal parts, which that just means whatever you measure of one ingredient, you measure the same amount of the other. So it's 1 part this, 1 part that. So it's 1 part hot water and 1 part wheat flour. Or I was making a big batch, so it was lots of cups to lots of cups. And then I did put in about 1/2 cup of salt to help fight bacteria growth. As you see here, I'm adding the hot water to the flour and mixing it all together, trying to get all the lumps out. If you just add the flour to the hot water, it will become a giant clump of goo, a goo ball with flour in the middle. So now you see it's all mixed in, trying to get all those clumps out. And then you pour the mixture into the boiling water and cook it for a couple minutes as you're stirring. Now that's really important to stir and whisk the entire time or else it becomes very, very clumpy. But I found out that it doesn't really matter if you do this or not because it gets clumpy when it cools down either way. So now I'm just going to pour the cooked wheat paste mixture into a bowl to cool. Now be very careful when you're doing this. It is scalding hot. I got out my hand mixer to try and get the lumps out, but it really didn't do much, but I'm about to fix that in the next clip. Alright, so we're going to start getting experimental in here. Take a look right there. It's quite sludgy. It's kind of hard to get onto the pieces of brown paper bag, and they're very thick. And I just feel like they're not absorbing enough, so I'm going to put them in and I'm going to blend it up and maybe add some more water to get it real smooth.
Work like a charm.
Here's a quick walkthrough of what my setup looked like. I had shaped my pumpkin, made the mixture, and shredded up all the paper. I hated the texture of the wheat paste, obviously by the look on my face during this entire process. It was disgusting, but that's just me. I repeated this step of just layering the paper. Obviously this was before I blended the mixture. This was very clumpy and hard to work with, but in a few seconds you'll see that it was much more liquid and easy to use, and then it was a breeze. So I wish I had done that in the first place, but overall the mixture was very messy, as it should be with any sort of paper mache project. It got everywhere, but luckily with the mixture that I used, you could wash it out very easily. Overall, I was very happy with this, and it turned out pretty well, I think.
Several days later.
Nice and solid. It a few days for it to fully dry because I added 3/4 of an inch to the bottom of it to try and remedy the lack of depth. It's because it was kind of shallow. I didn't measure it right. It looked really cool as the shape, but as a pumpkin, not as a pumpkin head mask. But I think I fixed it. We'll see. Only time will tell. Some parts need to be trimmed away, so I'm going to go back and trim little pieces off that weren't wet enough to really stick or whatever. Try and smooth it out as much as I can. And then I think it's good to go. I mean, it's pretty solid. There's a couple parts where it's a little flimsy, but I don't think it really matters. It's not gonna be built to last forever. Yeah, on to the next stage. I'm going to pull all this out, pull all the gut innards out. Dog fur.
Oh, tiptoe through the window, by the window, that is where I'll be. Come tiptoe through the tulips with...
Voila. All empty. So now I'm going to carefully peel back this plastic lining. Freedom. Okay. Now, this will be the front. So now I'm gonna go smooth it out, paint it, add a stem. We're on our way.
A few moments later.
I just touched the inside. It's still wet. So I'm going to put the air mover on this and let it dry from the inside and then move on to the rest. So I think I'm done for the tonight. For the tonight I'm done. For the tomorrow we come again to do new things, to paint, to make a pumpkin head. Here I'm just applying a base coat. I wanted to have a white base so that way the colors I painted it would really stand out because I didn't want it to get muddy with the natural brown color. I wasn't super happy with the seams and the gaps that were created after it dried, so I got some silicone caulking and filled in all the gaps to make it a more seamless pumpkin, and then I went over it with a wet paintbrush to cover up any peaks and crevices and finger marks. This worked extremely well and I was super happy with the finished product. It's only been a little while, but I think it's going to be dry enough to be able to paint on, which I am very excited about because I am ready to be finished. I have picked out my color palette, obviously a lot of pumpkin-y tones. I only have one orange, but I have lots of things to mix together a few colors to get the orange I really wanted. Then I used a sponge brush to tap in all the color. It really got into the crevices really well, and I really liked how it turned out. Happy fall, everyone. I'm so excited for fall to be here. So I just did this until it was completely covered. Pretty basic, just cover it all. I didn't mix enough paint for the same color, but I was able to kind of blend it all together, and I don't think you can really tell in the finished product. For the design, I wanted the pupils to be the eye holes and then be able to paint around the eyes, and since it's mostly decorative piece and I'm not going to be walking around wearing it, it didn't really matter if I could see that well. My pumpkin was definitely inspired by Over the Garden Wall, but I try to make a little difference in my own little character, but definitely based off of them. I used some of the brownish blue mixture to kind of give it a age and patina, which I ended up liking a lot, and giving the nose a bit of a shadow, and just giving the character an all-around grimace emoji face. We did it, buddy! If you like this video and you want to see more of these two faces, make sure to like and subscribe and follow us on social media. You want to take us on out?